Hi, I'm Nivedita Indrajit, and I'm in conversation with Master Nishchal Yoda, founder of React. And I think you've been doing a lot of self defense, and you have a lot of knowledge about martial arts and Indian martial arts, and there's a lot of traditions that you're keeping alive. So I
Yes.
know that you started when you were 4 or 5, and can you tell me about your journey and how you started and how it evolved into what you're doing today?
Okay. So I have started learning martial arts when I was 4 years old. So but at that time I was a very weak kid. So I used to fall sick frequently, and doctors also told my parents that this kid is very weak, and we have to be careful with him.
Hmm.
So there, somehow, my father also he learned little bit of martial arts, so he was into martial arts, and my grandfather and all they have a group who used to practice martial arts.
Okay.
So they actually, my grandfather was like, he said that no, nothing will happen to this kid. I'm going to take him for the martial arts, and he first introduced me to the wrestling pit.
Okay.
So Kusti, the traditional Mallavidya
Hmm.
used to be. So he put me there, and then I started learning. Within a 1 year of span, I became really strong. I can feel that I was not at all falling sick, and I became really strong. And then from there, my interest towards the martial arts increased. And my mom also, she started supporting me a lot, and she said, "Okay, go and learn." So after that, I went and in the schools. When I was in a school, I started learning kung fu for a long time, and then I started learning karate.
Hmm.
Then when I was learning karate, I went through lots of competitions and all. Through this, I started picking up kickboxing, and from there, slowly again, I came back to Mallavidya, the Indian traditional martial arts, and I started picking up it a lot. So my journey was going on like this for past 35 plus years now it is. So I'm just doing the same thing. I love to learn. So whatever new thing comes, I keep going and picking it up. So then slowly I started getting introduced to Indian martial arts a lot. So I somehow first thing was when we go across this Indian martial arts, we feel that okay, this is not so much practical, good for dancers and all.
Hmm.
So just to showbazi ke liye bahut kaam karta hai, to just show off and all these things. But slowly when I started getting into it, when I started learning this Indian martial arts, it really put me into a very different thing of Indian warrior cultures and how Indian warriors are. It was a very amazing journey of Indian martial arts. And at the same time, I was being trained in by Israelis. I was being trained in Krav Maga. I was being trained in Russia with Russians. I was being trained by Indian military police also. And like that, the journey went on. I'm a black belt holder in karate, three different styles of karate. I'm a
Yeah.
black belt holder in judo. I'm a black belt holder in jiu-jitsu. I'm a instructor for Tai Chi, authentic Yang style Tai Chi. So I was more keen about learning self-defense. So I want to learn something which is very practical. I don't want to just do something which is useless. And so I started searching out for the self-defense. And many places when I came across self-defense, I used to come across some people talking about, okay, you have to do something which is very difficult for everyone to do it. So from there, I understood that self-defense is not about just martial arts, but there is a lot of things which is behind it.
Okay.
So from that again, I started a new journey in my martial arts world where I started going and learning the psychological aspects about combat. So I've done a
Okay.
certified course in combat psychology also,
Yeah.
and then I was been into with lots of criminologies. I was been with lots of cops because I used to train. I train cops now also, so I keep training cops, and also I was been with lots of cops. So through them, I used to get the case studies and all these things. I started studying the case studies, knowing about the new tactics, what we can do. And I understood that self-defense is an entirely different subject, a subject which is actually not related to martial arts, but only 20% is martial arts, which is there inside.
Yeah.
And rest of it, 80% is what is very important, which people are don't know about it. And
Yeah.
people just think that, okay, kuch hua, to some case happens, they immediately think that I have to go and learn some karate or some other martial arts, they have to learn it, but they forget that that is not going to teach them the complete survival tactics. It's only going to teach the 20%. And
Yeah.
in that 20% also, the survival of yours will be 50-50 chances. So there I understood that there is a lot of things which we have to teach the people. And then I started an academy called React, through which we started teaching people the reality of self-defense. So self-defense is a lot of a vast subject of psychology, body language, everything. Everything counts in self-defense. And I think till now I have trained 20,000 plus ladies, women in self-defense.
Yeah.
And we go to the different organizations and we keep teaching this. And it makes me very happy when I'm doing this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I do get the tidbits of your classes sometimes, because sometimes Inder speaks to about, one exercise you told about anomalies
Yes.
long back. It's not
Yes.
recent. And
Yeah.
observation and things like that.
Hmm.
So, so I do get a little tidbits about all that. I'm saying it's very interesting to
Yes.
listen to all this. So, and also one more thing he mentioned, that you're talking about Indian martial arts, right? And Domi Samo and all. So he
Hmm.
was telling the movement of that. Well, actually, it's not just the physical aspect of it, but there's much more to it. Can you share more on that?
Domisamo.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, I'll just tell you the journey to my world of Domisamo. It was a very interesting journey, so I'll just
Yeah,
tell you this
sure.
one. It's a very unique thing. So I'm into judo. So I was a national player in judo. So one fine day my coach just asked us that all the students were sitting and he said, "Can anybody show me the stick rotations?" So one of the student got up and he showed little bit of stick rotations, and I too picked it up and I tried to do something what I know a little bit. So then my coach suddenly he said, "This is the other guy. He did it very nicely." It really hit me hard in my
Hmm.
heart that why I was not able to do. So
Ah,
my idea about Indian martial arts was very simple. I just want to learn that showbazi thing, which we do it with the rotations of the weapons, and that is more than enough. I just want to get out of it. So, but I was searching for the masters. I never got any master at that time. So I left it. It is there in my mind. I left it. One day, a person came to our academy. He's a very old man, around 56 years or 58 years old. He came. He was wearing a torn t-shirt, torn shoes. He was very shabby and very like a rustic cycle. He bought it. He came and he spoke to my coach inside, and then my coach called me up and he said that this person wants to learn some moves in judo. Teach him. I said okay. Then I took him and I started training him in some moves in judo. After the session, I was just changing my dress. He came to me and he told that, "Do you know Indian martial arts?" I said, "I don't know." "Are you interested to learn Indian martial arts?" I said, "Yes, I am interested." "Then I'll take you to one person. He can train you in Indian martial art." I don't know why he came and why he asked me what was the connection between that both also. I don't know. He said, I'll take you to one person. Come with me. I immediately said, okay, fine, let's go. I took my vehicle and I started going. First thing what he did was he took me to his place, which was a very small hut in the corner of the city, very small hut it was. And he said, you wait here, I'm going to come. So he came out with a very old books, two books. He got two old books and he gave it to me. It's written in a very traditional Telugu. I cannot understand that also very well. So I saw that books, two books, and I said, what is this, sir? Then he told me one thing. A warrior who can harm someone should also be trained to heal someone. So a warrior is not a warrior who just harms everyone, but he should be also ready to heal. And he gave that book. It was a very old book of herbs and everything was written in that one. And he said, you better read this book. This will be very useful for you.
okay.
And one more book was all about breathing.
Hmm.
So these two things he gave, and he said the mind also should be under control when you are doing this martial arts skills. So then he took me to a place where it was a very small shop where there are tailor shop it was, and he said your master is inside. I'll get him. He got one person. He's a tailor there. He said, I'm going to train you in Indian martial arts. I was little bit skeptic because how and this kind of people will teach me. So I said, okay, see, I don't want to learn anything from Indian martial arts because I've already learned so many martial arts. I know many things. Just teach me how to rotate the sticks. That's more than enough. He smiled and I asked him directly how many days it is going to take for me to learn the sticks. So he said that he smiled and told me one thing that you just come down, we'll start off. Tomorrow morning at 4 o'clock. And then I started going there to him, and from there I never turned back. Now I think it is 24 years I'm doing Indian martial arts. I
Wow.
never, I just went to learn the two stick rotations, how to do it with that stick, and Then I understood that Indian martial art is not just doing some dancing moves or something. There's a lot of things behind. Lots of things. It's all about, they are not only teaching you how to fight, but they are trying to teach you how to make your body, mind, and soul as one, and how you can be calm in real life situations. Let's take now, we say in meditations and all, we say that, okay, you have to be calm, leave all the thoughts aside and just be calm.
Yeah.
What if you know that the enemy is in front of your door? Your enemy is just in front of your door and you have to be calm. It's very difficult. But Indian martial art is one which trains you how to be calm at that moment also when the enemy is in front of your door. And it has taken me to the next levels, like different footworks. Like Inder used to tell you that there are lots of meaning behind footworks and all.
Yeah.
Really, when I started practicing footworks, first I thought that why we are doing it like a dance forms. But as we started learning it, as we started going ahead, I understood that the footworks in Indian martial arts are not meant for combat, but to make your body an eye. So they say that when body becomes eyes, so they react by themselves. And footworks which have been designed, they're designed in such a way that the mind is getting activated. It's not for the feet, but they say that a certain pattern of the steps which we do it with the footwork, it actually makes your mind activated and it makes your mind to grow more, and it will start thinking in a very
Different
good way. It's a very positive way, in a positive way. And it really changed everything. So, and you know, the surprise, I just want to learn this to show it to my master that I know this. And sorry to say, till now, I didn't show him. So, I understood that this is not for showing it off to others, but it is for ourselves. And how do we cultivate ourselves? And the one beautiful word which one of my Indian masters have told me that if you cannot win on yourself, how can you win on your enemies?
Yeah, true.
So he used to say, every day you are going to win on yourself and you have to win. If
And we
one
should be
fine
an
day,
obstacle.
yes, he said the same thing, that it should not be your obstacle. Every day you have to fight with yourself and you have to win on you. One fine day you say that, no. I'll give you a very small example. Every day we get up at morning 5 o'clock to do some exercise or meditation or anything. One fine day we don't get up. We think, okay, today I'll sleep till 10 o'clock. That means that day you lost war with yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, your laziness has taken a step. It just controlled you. So they used to tell me that no, you have to fight every day. And once you control yourself, you can control the enemies also. So this one has really changed my whole life. And that's the reason now also I try to teach this martial arts, Indian martial arts. And I feel very happy when it's spreading out and people are coming to learn. And it really makes me very happy to see that.
Yeah, I know on the website also it says, if you're coming it for muscle development or whatever, that's not the case. It's for survival. It's for your own defense. And you're very, very clear about it.
Yes.
I'm not sure how many people really come for that. And then finally, I'm sure you will have to filter them out still.
No, basically in our academy, when somebody comes in, we first talk to them. And we see what is the thing. Many people will come and say that, no, I just want to lose my tummy. So yeah, they definitely in martial arts trainings, especially like Indian martial arts and all, it's a complete holistic health.
Yeah.
We take care of everything from their physical aspect to the spiritual aspect. Everything will be taken care. But now a person, if he comes to say that, okay, I just want to lose my tummy because I'm getting bored by other gyms, so I just came to you. Taking him is a waste of time for me, also waste of time for him, and he wastes other people's time also.
Yeah, because the purpose of whatever you want to deliver is not in alignment over there.
Not in alignment with it. And I keep seeing that many martial arts schools around, they are just trying to teach some fitness. And then they should not keep a word called martial art, because martial art by itself is a war art, and it's a very, it's a highest level of skill.
Yeah.
Which are now people are diluting it to a very small thing and telling that it's just for fitness. There is nothing else behind it. It's all about meditative. It's all about spirituality. It's all about breathing. It's all about control of your body, mind, and soul, which people are not ready to show it. And I don't think so. People know it also so much, and they are just reaching it for fitness. And I think that is a very bad thing which is happening around.
Yeah.
So I
And
want to keep my academy fair. So it should be like exactly what I want to teach it. I want that my academy to teach the same thing.
when I see you, I see the moving forward of a tradition, moving forward of a heritage that is being preserved into the next generation.
Yes.
And it's not a decoration that we say, okay, we have this or we have this. It's not about what we achieved in terms of belts or anything, but it's about how we are carrying this information forward. Maybe much
True.
earlier it was not written also. I think it was more of word of mouth and how
Yes.
tradition has been passed down. Now we have the ability to write books and stuff and really have the information.
Yeah. True.
So I'm really glad that you're doing it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And Vidur, son has come to your class for survival. That's basic course
Self-defense
for
training.
children. How
Yes.
did you go come up with that you would like to do with children and in that fashion?
See, basically what happens is I used to go to, I've been practicing in many martial arts schools.
Right,
So when I've seen that when kids are learning martial arts, I used to ask their parents that why your kid is learning the martial arts. So they say that no, they have to learn how to defend themselves.
right,
So I said, okay, that's good, but can this small kid of this age, can he protect himself? Because whatever case studies which I went through, I've seen that a big guy is attacking a small kid. A same group is a very small fight, but a big guy is
correct.
attacking, and then this small kid can protect himself from that big person.
Yeah,
So through that, when I started learning self-defense training, I came through the psychology of the kids, that how a kid can be trained for survival.
hmm.
And through that, I have started designing a course which can train the kids, tune their minds to learn how to defend. So basically, like they have lots of categories. One is bullying. Bullying is the same category kids which happens. There is one more called abduction or kidnapping. There's one more called child abuse. Child abuse, which can happen through parents also. Knowingly, unknowingly,
Okay,
parents also might be doing that.
okay.
Yeah. So
Can you
there
say
will
more?
be about the child abuse.
Yeah, I
So
mean, can you say
knowingly,
more about each?
pardon me, I didn't get you.
Can you say more about each? Like when you understanding these categories, like what constructs of that?
Okay, so let's take now bullying comes in. So bullying is a kind of place where kids are a kid going to the school. Someone else, a strong kid is bullying the weaker kid.
Right.
Now, many times parents come to me and say that this kid, my kid was going to this school, and so guy was bullying him a lot.
Hmm.
So now we are planning to change the school.
Right.
I always say that it's not that key you have to change the school, but there is a little bit of personality problem with your kid,
Hmm.
which should be changed.
Hmm.
If you take him to the other school, also definitely there will be one more guy who will be troubling him. Because me myself, I've went through many schools. I was there in the school. When I was in the schooling, I used to see that we always used to target one kid.
Hmm.
We used to bully him a lot. I also bully the kids. When we are small, we used to bully. So we used to pick up one kid. So then I understood that why we are targeting that one kid is because that kid has got certain personality problems,
Right.
character and personality problems. If we change that, that's it. There's no other issues. So first, when the parents come, I take the kid, I talk to him first, and I start training him exactly what should be changed in him.
Okay.
And then I give him certain survival tricks to deal in the school also, how to handle the situation. And it
Right.
really worked out for me. Then
Hmm.
just coming, when a kid comes in and I say, okay, punch like this, kick like this, do like this, that's not going to solve the problem actually for the kid also.
Yeah.
So this is bullying. So the next comes, there are lots of things like that. Then abuse, child abuse. Child abuse is one of the very serious issues which people don't understand. When we call it abuse, we think that some outsider is trying to abuse the kid.
Hmm.
It could be emotional abuse, it can be sexual abuse, it can be many things out there. But people forget one thing, that emotional abuse can happen from parents also. Parents also
Right.
can do it for their kids knowingly or unknowingly.
Right.
It is happening.
Hmm.
When I checked out all the criminal profiles which were there around me,
Hmm.
when I started checking all the criminal profiles which were around me, I came to know that every criminal who was been emotionally or sexually or any other way, when he was abused in the childhood, this is the guy is going to turn up as a criminal.
Hmm.
when he
Okay.
grows big.
Right.
So why this is happening? So let's take parents also sometimes knowing, because we have lots of stress. We are
Right.
going out, we are working, we have lots of stress. That stress, we just take it out on our kids. Kids wants that attention. Kids wants that love, that attention. In the olden days, what my mom or anybody used to do, or moms used to do, whenever we come from the school, they sit with us and say, what happened in the school, tell me. And we tell all kinds of stories, and they patiently they listen to us everything, and they give us some ideas, they laugh and they go away. Are we ready to do this now with the kids?
Yeah.
We are not ready to do it. We don't have time. When we come, we are immediately with the cell phone or some computer, we are checking out something. And the kid is talking also, we'll say, this fellow is talking nonsense, let him go, and we'll be working. Through this, the kid is actually going through an emotional abuse. It's actually an emotional abuse where he cannot share his thoughts to anyone.
Right.
So in the same way, there are many other ways. Sometimes mother or father might be very aggressive. He might be just shouting at the kid.
Hmm.
Whatever small mistake happens, they shout. They don't understand that we are elders and they are small kids. Small kids do what they have to do. They don't have that. They think that what we do, they should also do.
Yeah.
So
True.
this kind of abuses are there a lot, which kids are going on now.
Hmm.
This is one. Sexual abuse is also one more, which is very serious. So we see that we say that a kid is sexually abused. 70% of the kids are sexually abused only in house. Only 30% goes from outside.
Okay.
Okay. And if the parents are well trained to know what is what how the kid is changing from day
Hmm.
1 to day 10, we say that 10 patterns are there when the kid is start changing.
Okay.
No, we can call it as a pedophile or anyone who actually
Hmm.
attacks the kid. Nobody just go and try to attack the kid like that. There is
Yeah.
a step-by-step procedure which is going to take till the kid falls into his trap.
Right.
So when he starts taking the first step on a kid, the kid starts changing their way of talking, way of staying at home. Everything starts changing in the kid.
Yeah.
So, and if we can find out what is the change which is happening in the kid, we can easily analyze that what's happening with him, and we can stop it at this point only.
Right.
Many parents, what happens is they cannot stop it at that point because they don't know what to do, and then when it goes into the 10th stage where the kid was actually abused, then the parent starts thinking, oh, my kid got attacked by someone, and someone did something bad to my kid.
Right.
Many cases of this kind are not coming out
Hmm.
because the parents are getting scared that, okay, media might come, they might be exposing it outside. And many schools also, they don't tell it outside because their school reputation might go bad, so they will be controlling that. So many things are happening. So in this way, when we train self-defense, especially, these all are all the parts of self-defense where we have to learn this. Not just teaching kid how to punch and kick. I've seen many kids coming and trying to punch me, and they'll say, "No, you are very strong. I cannot punch you." I said, "This is what happens." So when you learn these all things in a very playful way, see, when we train kids, especially, we don't train kids like, "Okay, you might be abused, you might go through this, you might be kidnapped." These things will scare the kids. So then what I started doing, I started designing a games which they play. I think you might be knowing how Vidul
Yeah.
used to enjoy coming and playing their games, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
So I started.
the muscle memory is so strong that even as a parent, I just go hug him from behind. He'll just squiggle himself and go down. He'll not receive the. So
True.
what is taught in class is so ingrained. He does it like this.
Yeah. So,
I
so we
realized that much later.
yeah. No, because I was more interested about that kid. The kid, when we teach self defense, so it should be in such a way that it should be there with him forever.
Yeah.
It's not like that here. I learned it. I forgot again. I have to go to the class. That
I
does
can
not
vouch
work
for
out.
it that it's in his muscle memory.
Yeah. So that's what I wanted. So I started working on the games. I started working how to train a kid with a fun. They should enjoy it. They should have fun. And I can tell you that the kids who attend that 8-day workshop with me, every year from past 5 years, they are coming back
Yeah.
to my academy. They are there with us. And they say that, sir, keep it frequently. We want to come and practice regularly also. So
Yeah.
that is how we have to train the kids. We cannot just train them, showing them how to kick and punch. And many schools are also not able to understand this thing.
Yeah.
When we went and we spoke to the schools also, we have to train the kids in self-defense. Many schools used to say, oh, no, I have a karate instructor who is coming. I have a taekwondo instructor who is coming and teaching. We said, that's good, but this is something different. They don't understand that.
Yeah.
We said, okay, whoever wants it, they can come and learn. And in that way, many schools also have approached me, few schools. We are working with them also. And we are training them in self-defense. Yeah.
This is so beautiful. Can you, I know like there is this Marma thing that Marma Vidya, or what is that called?
Marmakala.
So can you tell more on that and the medical aspects of it and how you're incorporating it? I know that everything I know because of Inder. So my questions are based on information he reveals.
Oh, good. Okay, so Marmakala is actually the ancient Indian fitness. It's basically a medical system. So it was a very old system. Actually, it was first developed by Susruta Samhita. So if you go through the book called Susruta, in that one he has first written about it. He's a surgeon. He's the first surgeon in the world.
Okay.
So he taught the world how to do surgery. So now all the doctors also maintain his manuals. So he was the guy when he was actually working in the battlefields. So when the soldiers used to get injured, they come here. He used to do surgery and he used to help save them. At that time, he understood that there are certain points in the body when they get attacked or something happens to it, the person dies immediately. And why he is dying immediately is because the energy which should be flowing in the body is getting stopped.
Mm.
So then in that way, he was able to find out 108 points in the body.
Okay.
And then he made a manual out of it and he started spreading it. And martial artists, everybody goes through that.
Okay.
And now very famous like Kerala, Tamil Nadu, they all actually, they are now also promoting Marmakala. So the idea of Marmakala are there are certain points in your body, 108 points. So in those points, if you have any problem, let's take you have a heart problem, let's take you have a liver problem, there is a certain connected channel which is there.
Right.
And if you can press those points, immediately that starts working properly and everything is fine. So, and there is a lot of tactics which we basically build it up also on that one. And it can be used for injuring someone also. When you hit the area, it can really hurt them.
Mm.
At the same time, it can be useful if you are trying to just want to heal someone also. This is the best method. So when people come down to me and they say that I have this problem, the first thing I give them is Marma points only. I give them certain Marma points and I ask them to press those points first.
Yeah.
And then I start giving them some exercises and all those things. And I've seen a lot of results coming out. There are people, many people who are suffering with Parkinson diseases also who come to me. And we have seen that they have lots of benefits out of it. And they say that 50% to 70% they got cured through Marmas.
Okay.
So, yeah. And it's a vast knowledge. So every martial artist in Indian martial artist must know this art. But nowadays, many people don't know, and slowly this art is actually dying. So now you come across acupressure, acupuncture, and all these things.
Right.
They call that Marmakala was actually the base structure. It's a base system.
Hmm.
And after that, only this acupressure, acupuncture, everything has come. Later on, they have come. But this was the first system which was there. In India, when we want to heal someone, there are certain things which we do. First is Ayurveda. In Ayurveda, we have Marma Chikitsa, Nadi Pariksha. Then we go with the internal medicine, that is herbs. Then yoga.
Yeah.
These are the things which we go step by step. Okay, so yoga is nothing but a physiotherapy, actually, for our Indian culture. But now it became a complete fitness routine. That's very good. So in the same way, Marma Chikitsa is also one of the most important things in India. But now very less people are left over who are learning this system now and who are practicing this system.
Yeah. And I think even recently, I don't remember the name of the movie, but there was one movie which talked, I think Dhanush was there in that movie. He talks about his father and son thing where the art is dying, that kind of a martial art is dying.
Yes. So, Adi Murai.
Yeah.
Adi Murai, yes.
Yeah. How can we actually keep these traditions going? I mean, that has been my question ever since I watched that movie. It's like, I
Yeah.
know that there's a lot of literature not there and it's passed on through tradition. Is there any way, that's my ask. Is there any way
See,
to keep it going in the future? Because these are really valuable pieces of information and I think it's worth going in the future.
true. See, the biggest issue is because we are mostly focusing on the westernization, whatever outside things were coming in. The second important thing, which I felt from the Indian tradition also, what was there, is a tradition cannot survive without evolution.
Right.
Okay. So we have to understand that what is required at this time and how this tradition, what you have, can evolve and can be catered to this society.
Correct.
And the secondary problem is because it has been spread through word of mouth. So the master is teaching to the student and the student is teaching to the next student. It is just spreading like this arts. Slowly, the art, the original stuff which is there is actually not being taught outside.
Right.
And because of this, what is happening is only the top one, something they are just showing something and they're telling you this is what is the art, is only left over. I can say now the Indian traditional martial art, whatever we practice it might be only 25%.
Yeah.
Whatever we practice. The rest of the 75%, it is the students are also not interested to learn. They are also not interested to learn, and the masters also not interested to learn. So because when I started learning, when I started learning this martial arts, I started traveling to many masters. And I used to ask them that, teach me this, teach me that, teach me that. The masters used to get worried and look at me and say that, man, you are the first person who's asking us all these things. Nobody asks us. They only come to learn some fancy stuff and go away from here. And that's what they're teaching outside also.
Yeah.
But you're the guy who is asking everything. So this is how the Indian tradition is slowly dying. And the most important thing at this time is how you can get it to the modern society, the same old tradition. How you can cater it to the modern society is what is very important. And Indian martial artists, especially, they have to start thinking that how they can develop this system, so it can work at this time.
Right.
So, which they are not trying to do it. Because of that only, it slowly started diminishing, and people are not interested. And no master, my master, one of my master, he was scared of planes. Means they don't have any education. They're from a very small village. So when he came to my city and he stayed with me for 15 years, he was there with me. I think Inder also met him once.
Yeah.
So he used to tell me one fine day he was sitting in his room and he's not coming out. I went and asked him that why you're not coming out. He said, no, somebody is flying over my head. Something big thing is flying over my head. I said, come out, Bolke. What is that? Bolke? Plane. He's telling that, see, they are not educated. They are not so much into this all computers and all. So they don't know how to put it forward also.
Respond to it.
So it is, yeah. And we being learning this arts, we must be able to tell it to the outside world also what it is.
Yeah.
And if we can do it, I can say that this is one of the most fantastic systems, complete systems, which can change a lot of things in a person. So yeah, I'm trying to do it from my side, what I can do it. I don't know how much it will go forward, but let's hope it will be there.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Is there anything I didn't ask you, because there's so much vast knowledge that you go around, that any topic that you'd like to talk about, anything that you thought is relevant in context to the work that you're doing?
Yeah. So see, I can tell you one thing, that self-defense is a very important part. And I feel that everybody should be trained in self-defense. And there is no need for you to get trained for years together, or 15 years to 20 years to get a black belt and all. Every person, if we can spend some 12 hours, that's more than enough. And I feel that not regardless of age, regardless of gender, whatever it is, physical disabilities, everyone should learn it, because the future is not going to be the same. And I know that whatever it is, if you are well equipped and if you can deal and if you can understand the threats around you, that's the time you can live happily. If not, any one case can panic many people and they will start talking something. So that can happen. So what I always believe is, make it a point that your kids, everybody should learn to protect yourself. That is what I can tell you.
So if somebody's coming to React, what are all the options available?
React, see, basically in React, what we do is we first talk to them. So I have clients who are suffering with domestic violence, serious domestic violence. In domestic violence also, there are many categories which we check it out, which category they are in. So there could be an verbal abuse, there can be an emotional abuse, there can be an economic abuse, there can be an physical abuse, there can be an sexual abuse also. There are many abuse methods. So we check it out in which category they are coming up. And we give them some tips and tricks how to deal with this situation. What are the methods to handle it? And how first, if somebody is getting beaten up, let's by her husband, the first priority which we take it is how we can stop that beatings. And there are lots of psychological tactics which we use it there. And within a span of 1 week, I have seen that the beating stop. No, they will not touch her.
Okay.
So later on, then we start working out on the other possibilities, like how we have to get her out of that situation, and how to create a proper fence around her, which will always try to protect her from her husband. So there is a lot of things like that. So we check out with the client. So when the client comes in, they say that some clients come and they say, sir, I'm scared. I don't know why I'm scared of everything. I cannot speak. So we work on their assertiveness, we work on their aggressive methodology. And in that way we train. So everyone is scattered differently. So we don't have an like, okay, one course, ek hi course laga ke, sabko ek hi sikha ke, we'll leave them. But as people will keep coming in, then we start working out with them, and then we see which course is relevant for him. And that is the course which will be taught to them first.
Okay.
And at the same time, we teach for health. We have lots of Tai Chi, yoga, and all these things which we basically teach. I teach a technique called Sukshma Shakti Yoga. This is basically a technique where we don't work with all the yogasanas which are there. So we don't work with it. We work mostly with the internal part of the internal energies. And there are lots of techniques which we do it in that one. There are different exercises in yoga also, which have been incorporated and which was been created, and we teach this as a Sukshma Shakti Yoga. And very good to make yourself very strong internally. It's a very good technique. Then we go with Indian martial arts. Indian martial arts is our base system, which we basically teach it to anyone who comes in. And this is like a complete system. So this is what we do at React.
Yeah, and so you're teaching from a traditional point of view, not a traditional, I wouldn't say, that's not the word. Like you're teaching the art part of it. At the same time, if there is a client coming in, you're customizing it to their needs as well. Did I understand that correctly?
Yeah. True. So when it comes to self-defense, we are very serious, and we take it as a one-on-one sessions. Martial arts and all, they can just learn it like that only. They can come to the academy and they can pick it up.
Thank you so much for having this conversation. And I will be putting the details of the academy and all the your profile and your contact details. Is that okay?
Yeah, definitely you can do that.
Thank you so much.
Welcome. Thanks a lot. Thank you. And it's